What's going on, guys? Kaiga here. Today we're going to do PvP and PvE tier list for the classes in June 2025. Let's jump into it.
마지막 한 송이가 시들어간다. 하느끼는 최후의 기도 속에서 신은 최후의 선택을 내린다.
Alright guys, first we're going to start with PvE, player versus environment, and Priest is at the top primarily, up here at the top of S tier, primarily because it does a bunch of buffs for yourself, allowing you to hit these harder and harder bosses we get all the time, as well as access to Cold Fire Bird, reducing bosses' block, Tenacity Ball, reducing its tenacity, and like I said, increasing your crit and attack with Star Blessing. It's just always going to be at the tippity of the top. Not so much of what it can do, but because it makes everything else just better. Then we have Armor, which is still, even though Shadow Owl has been out for a while, Armor is still outperforming it as far as full DPS, but you can do some fun tricks where before the fight you can get 6 hand seals, triple crit, triple damage increase, something like that, and then swap over to Cannon and let Cannon do the job. So by itself, Armor is hands down the best in PvE damage. Shadow Owl pretty close behind it by itself, but like I said, it could also be a buffer as well. Down here in the A tier, I put all three of these pretty much the same, even after Marksman 5% buff on its first and second skill. I still put all three of these about even. Putting these are all in order. I put Marksman in the front because of the recent buffs, and Dragon Fighter because of its multiple abilities have higher scaling than Perfect Blade, Blazing Owl. And Blazing Owl does a bunch of jumping around with its abilities, which end up eating some time, so that does put Dragon Fighter a bit higher, very slightly. Down here in the B tier, we have Gladiator. It also got a buff with its passive, giving itself 1% more HP to attack, which doesn't sound like a lot, but still pretty good. And generally, you're not doing full left side. You're grabbing Soul Blast from the right side with 30% defense cut, 30% block cut. You're also getting all the low cooldown skills, and then scaling it with your passive to do pretty good damage, which is why it's up here in B tier. Then we have Dragon Knight, pretty much made for PvP because of the spear drop. If you're doing something like Guild Boss, you can put out some decent numbers with something like Dragon Knight, but in those you gotta kill the boss in 4 seconds or less, like Mirror Trial we have right now in Global. You're not able to do anything like that with something like Dragon Knight, which is why it's down here. Judge does do great damage. It primarily has a bunch of CC, which is what you want to be doing in PvP. and it also takes a little bit to get its moves going. We've been talking about this on my Discord, and Judge's biggest issue is it wants you to have break with the Chain Strike, but it also, at least two of its abilities have bonuses for crit, like the deepen skill for crit bonus, and you get nothing out of that. Really, you can't really build both. Unless you're a Mega Whale, then do whatever you want. Down here, Mechanician, it has gotten better recently, not from any direct buffs, but just from not it itself doing all the damage, but as a set it and forget it, very similar to Priest. If you're sick of playing Priest, Mech is pretty good for PvE. You just can't do armor Mech, which is the downside. But if you want to do something like Mech Shadow, you can do set it and forget it, and every 30 seconds swap back to set them all back down. And then the rest of the time you're just spamming your skills in Shadow. That's pretty good. Really, it's Priest is the best secondary class, and Mech is the second best secondary class, which is, you see a wide difference here. Wind Chaser primarily made for PvP. Extra dodge doesn't matter. A bunch of its things don't really matter in PvE, but you can do some very interesting things, such as everything hinges around what ability you use before your second ability, and generally you want to use third skill before second skill in PvE, because that does a rain type effect. It rains down, and you can do this as a primary damage, because it doesn't lock you in place, and you can go and use other abilities. Generally, the first two on the left side are good skills to bring. Or you can do this as a secondary. It would be like the third secondary, and you would just only rotate every 15-20 seconds when that combo is up, and have the rain damage happening. And then down here at the bottom we have Berserker. It's primarily made for PvP. It needs you to be in that class as long as possible, because you need to get into, it's really, they need to update its rage system to be in line with what we have with preparation, what we have in line with the energy from Lance or Ninja, because with this you have to stay in Berserker as long as possible, or you lose all your buffs. The moment you lose your buffs, you have to get them all back, and it takes a long time. As well as its biggest issue is two of its skills, Flash and Flash Slash, are made for PvP because they're a bunch of dashes. You also have its primary damage ability, which is supposed to get you resets off of kills in PvP. It's only half a reset in PvE, so not worth it at all. Now we have PvP tier list. This is all over on my Discord. Priest still up at the top. It has a cleanse ability, really good against someone trying to do an anti-heal with Dolly or something. It has a cleanse, it has barrier, it has crit buff, it has tenacity down, it has a heal, it has really everything. Gladiator, very, very good. I really put Gladiator and Blazing Owl neck and neck when it comes to PvP right now, and that's because Gladiator got a lot of buffs. It also has stuff coming up with Balrog, with a bunch of the bonuses coming down the pipe, but that is not part of this tier list. This tier list is everything currently active in the game right now, June 20th. So, sorry, June 19th. So what's important right here is you don't take knockup knockback. Your abilities have great range. You have a pool ability, which not many people have answers to. You have access to one of the best debuff skills in the game, Soul Blast, minus 30% defense, minus 30% block. You heal whenever you hit with your 2 main skills, as well as you get that extra dodge. Just a lot of love. Blazing Owl, bunch of CC, bunch of jumping around. You can't just fire off the skills just to fire them off, because people can legitimately run in a circle and you won't hit if you're just spamming the skills. You do have to set up your skills. You can't just take your left hand off the movement skill and then just go, I'm going to throw the dagger and I'm going to teleport and I'm going to do omnidirectional. You can't do that. Smart players are going to be able to walk circles around you. But if you are timing your skills, it's definitely up in the S tier. A tier, we have Shadow Owl. It's obviously top of S tier when we talk about specifically Uncharted Battlefield, and that's because in single target battle it has access to double Raikiri, and in group battles it has access to enhanced Ninja Tool, which does a fire tornado, which does pretty high damage, some burn, and it hits a big area. So it just covers a bunch of stuff. A Shadow Clone has a really low cooldown. You're able to do some very impressive stuff in that game mode. And regular PvP, it's still very good. It just isn't on the same tier as Blazing Owl or Gladiator. Then we have Wind Chaser, very much a annoy your opponent type strategy. Put room in place, do the range game on them, the extra dodge, strength of nature, get out of CC, a bunch of stuff. Dragon Fighter, very similar to Wind Chaser. You have that Dragon Roar Gale Gel free card, which also gives you barrier, which also gives you an extra dash, so you are very, very maneuverable. You're able to get out of stuff, but you also have some of the most stuns in the game just in Dragon Fighter. Pierce up is always really good, stuff like that. Then we have Dragon Knight. Its main use right now is a easy access to heal reduction, as well as it could play the range game okay, just because of the sheer range the spear drop has. You can easily third skill jump in, first skill knock him up, sky rush, so second right skill dash out, and then you just did some harassment damage from other games. And then if they ever try to close the gap on you, you can load up the spear throw, and then if they ever get in range, spear throw. So you can play a pretty good range game with Dragon Knight, but the damage it puts out and the cooldowns are way too long. Marksman, it did have the buff of can't be knocked up during Never Miss. It really needs... What does it need? I think the best way is to make its multi-arrows spread the damage evenly throughout the 3 hits, because right now 60-70% of the damage is in that last shot, and then everyone just burns a dodge on it, and then you're sitting there for 10-15 seconds, which is 2 to 3 dodges they can have back up in that time. Judge isn't the best if everyone on your team is the judge, but if you have one person on your team that's a judge, he is going to do a lot of work. Double tornadoes. If he's wind, he can have access to triple tornado, followed by EM chain strike, throwing out tenacity balls, lower tenacity, throwing out cold fire birds, doing some fun stuff. Then down here in the C tier, we have armor. It has damage to be up here in the A tier. It has access to one of my favorites, Blasting Sparkle, its first ability, anti-heal and movement speed buff. It also has access to the third ability, the Grenade Toss, which if they do a channel ability, it will immediately cancel it, similar to a Silence. But the main things it'll work against is things like triple multi-arrow right here and Spear Drop. It's fairly far range, high damage, and pretty quick ability. Or a Punitive Chop up here, but you have to time it really well. But the Nether Fire is the big issue. If you're able to control it and move it side to side, or they made it bigger, it would be easily probably top of B tier actually. Then the D tier, Berserker, I very recently talked about its issues about PvP and PvE, so I don't really need to talk about it. It's really the only time to play this class right now is if you're so much higher CP and stats than everyone else that you're getting resets on your flash, that you're able to just one shot, and then run through people. And then Mechanician, on paper it sounds really nice in PvP, but it ends up just being multiple targets for classes to get HP steal rate off of. Let me know what you guys think down below. Until next time, guys.